friends, and welcome back to Ghouls Night In. This is a cozy chat show about all things spooky with your best ghoul friends. I'm Penny Snark,
And I'm Midge Munster.
and today I have brought a topic which is one of my all-time favorite animals and also favorite symbols of Halloween. It's frickin' bats.
Frickin' bats. I would
It's
never know about you that you liked bats.
I know. So you for those who don't know, I do have a wall of bat cutouts that stay up all year round in my apartment, and I do also have a tattoo of bats on my leg.
Which I
So
just learned, like, last night. Penny and I finally met in person for the first time last night, and I said, "You got frickin' bats on your leg."
freaking bats. I love my bats. And so before we get into some of the spooky side of bats, I have a few bat facts. Bat facts for you. So these are from Bat Conservation International. Bats have been on Earth for more than 50 million years.
Does that make them, like, dinosaurs, basically?
I don't know.
I don't know how long
Probably
dinosaurs were.
but they are very old. And there are over 1,400 species of bats.
Wow.
And even though we often associate bats with vampires, only 3 of those drink blood. So the vast majority of bats eat insects and fruit, and they're actually really helpful pollinators.
Yeah, yes, you've told me this once, and I'm excited to hear all about it.
Yes. So bats are actually one of the primary pollinators of agave, which is what makes tequila. So when you have a Taco Tuesday and you're enjoying a margarita, you should thank a bat because a bat pollinated that for you.
I think that's so odd because Bacardi, which is, rum, uses the bat as their emblem on all their bottles. And so when you told me that, I was like, oh, that makes sense because Bacardi. And then I was like, wait, no, that's rum. You would think more tequila companies would be putting bats on their stuff.
You would. Actually, here in Milwaukee, there is a Mexican restaurant called Blue Bat Kitchen in honor of
In
bats.
Unrelated news, Penny and I will be going to dinner later.
Hey.
Tag Blue Bat Kitchen. No, that's awesome.
Yeah, so they have like a whole tequila spread, and it is in honor of bats pollinating tequila.
That's so cool. Do they do any like donations like to bat preservation? I wonder with those. That'd be cool.
Sure, they should though, because
that'd be really cool.
Bats need our support.
Yes, bats and bees.
Bats and bees.
The bats and the bees. That's the talk I'm going to give my children.
Yeah. That's the talk for spooky children. The bats and the bees.
Son, I need to talk to you. It's about the bats and the bees.
Bats are the only mammal that is capable of true flight. So there are other like sugar gliders and things, and flying squirrels. They glide, but bats
they don't flap.
Actually, like flap and they fly. And bats can live for a long ass time. The oldest known wild bat was a Brant's myotis who lived to be 41 years old.
Damn! That's a middle-aged bat.
Yeah.
Do you think he bought a Corvette? Do you think he had a midlife crisis? Well, I guess his midlife would have been his 20s. But yeah. Wow, I didn't know that. I guess maybe because of domestic animals, I assume animals just don't have that long of lifespans usually, but that's incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely, like, I feel like small animals don't live like smaller bats don't have lifespans like that, but like these like big guys, they can live a long time.
The beefy boys.
Yes. And even though bats may look like a winged mouse, they are actually more closely genetically related to humans than rodents. So
we could be bats.
We are bats.
I'm sure you've seen the interweb, not tradition. Oh my god. I'm sure you've seen on the internet people like calling them sky puppies.
Yes.
That's my favorite thing ever that's ever happened on the internet. Because their faces are so cute.
They really are. I follow a bat account on Instagram that does bat butt posts. And like I just see their little booties, and I always love seeing a little bat booty on my feed.
Okay, well, if you were listening to this on YouTube, I will be putting the bat butt account in the description box below, because I think we all need bat butt in our life. That's amazing.
Heck yes. And I'll say most of us probably know that the phrase blind as a bat is a misnomer, because bats are not in fact blind. They can see as well as humans can.
probably better than both of
They can.
us.
But echolocation allows them to detect food in the dark. And according to the Maryland DNR, bats can use echolocation to determine the size, shape, and texture of objects as small as the width of a human hair.
Holy heck, that's wild.
Yeah, so
That's incredible. Isn't it's them and like whales, right? That have that echo.
yeah,
Like I think they're that I know of anyway, the only two mammals that have that.
yeah, same. Those are the ones I'm aware of,
That
and
is such a cool superpower, really. I mean, that's
right?
literally like the equivalent of being able to, I don't know, like see in the dark. I mean, obviously, like you can see in the dark, but like I mean,
Mhm.
really
Yeah,
have
like
a
know what's
full.
going on in the
Yeah,
dark is
that
very
is
cool.
so cool.
And I found out I actually didn't realize that 70% of bats use echolocation. So they don't all have
Oh,
echolocation. And the rest just use regular old sight and hearing.
just regular old. That's a
Just
fruit.
their bad eyeballs.
That sure do look like food.
Yes. But that's enough about real life ecology. We're here to talk about spooky stuff.
I mean, I
Uh,
love a good bat lesson, though. I appreciate you bringing all that info to the table
thank you.
because you had shared with me back before we started the pod the thing about the tequila,
Yes.
and I was very very excited to learn. I've shared that fact with many folks since you told me. This is very very
It's
cool.
good to know. I think it's we definitely like as we all are looking to save the bees these days and think about the importance of pollination. It's important to remember that other critters take care of
Are
that too.
doing the damn thing. Yeah, I didn't ever think of them as being pollinators, so that's really cool info to have. And like you said, to know that they're so important to our ecosystem and that I mean, yeah, there's so much conservation for bees right now, which is awesome. I mean, bees, bats, we've
Bees
got
and bats, we got it
we
covered.
got to change the pod name.
The bees and the
The bees and the
bats
bats.
with Penny and Mitch.
But yeah, I would love to see more. Maybe we could link something to this episode
Yeah,
to give to a bat conservatory. That'd be cool.
that would be very
Help
good.
bats.
Yeah, so obviously, bats are very much associated with vampires thanks to Bram Stoker, who wrote about Dracula transforming into a bat. But bats were actually already kind of associated with death and darkness before
They are like,
Bram came around.
I'm sure if you weren't like, if you had never seen a bat before and it came flying at you, you'd be like, oh, like,
Yeah,
they are they have a presence for sure.
they do. And I mean, one of the things that I read about and that really makes sense is obviously in the time before electric lights, nighttime was real dark. It
Yeah,
was so dark and like something just kind of flying out of the night at you would be really scary.
that is, yep. I forget that like people didn't just always, walk out at night and be able to see things. Like
Yeah.
it's, yeah, that would definitely be disturbing.
Yeah. And so bats are often thought of as an omen of death or evil in folklore. And some legends say that a bat in the house is a harbinger of the death of a member of the family,
Oh,
which is pretty dark. I mean, to be fair, I also would not like an unexpected bat to be in my
I
house.
would.
Um, uh, but I mean, I don't want anything that's alive to be unexpectedly in my house.
I do. I love critters. I really do. Maybe not a snake, but like a bat or a mouse. I think they're kind of. I'm just like, oh, you little stinker.
That's fair. Have you seen the video of the Irish family with the bat in their kitchen?
Oh,
Oh my god. We will definitely link that slash post it on Instagram
oh
because
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's hilarious. It is just like the son of like a family is like trying to film his dad trying to capture a bat in their kitchen, just like and with just so much Irish enthusiasm.
Oh my
It
gosh.
is
We love the
incredible.
Irish.
It's very good.
That's funny. Speaking of, while we're on the
Yes.
topic, if you are new here, or if you're, I mean, everyone's new here because we're new here. Don't forget to go follow Ghouls Night in Pod over on Instagram. We'll have a lot of behind the scenes stuff there, and a lot of if we have fun things to share that we talk about in the episodes, we'll share them over there. So definitely go give it a follow. And thank you to everybody who's already followed. We
Yeah, it's so been so great to see people be excited and interested in the podcast, and we're so excited to make it. So thank you
yes.
for tagging along with us.
Woo.
And oh, so The other thing, obviously, that makes bats seem spooky is they live in caves, and caves have traditionally been thought of as like gateways to the underworld.
Sure.
So that makes you think of there. And I think about like the original Scooby Doo, Where Are You? They have like that flock of bats that flies out in the
Yes.
opening sequence, and like that definitely like in my brain is like that is what spooky is
Yeah.
this unexpected flock of bats flying out of a creepy house.
What? Do you remember? I'm picturing like a cartoon from when we were
Mm-hmm.
kids, and someone like puts their like mouth or something over it, and then bats fly out and they get like
Oh,
blown up.
I
Like,
yeah, that sounds incredibly familiar.
if you know what I'm talking about, please leave a comment because
Yeah.
and they like go like up on the flight of bats and then they like land on the like top of the. Oh no, you know what it is?
What?
It's Emperor's New Groove.
It is Emperor's New Groove.
With
There you
his
go. I'm
mouth
like I can picture like the mouth like getting big
expanding.
and
It's
like
when he gets his snoot stuck in that little crevice and the bats bring them up after the
there you
bridge
go.
collapses. That's what I picture, a flock
Well,
of bats.
Midge, how did you know that I was about to bring up another children's show, animated programming, which is the Magic School Bus? If you recall, there was a bat-focused episode of the Magic School Bus
That does
that
ring a
I
bell.
was incredibly into, and I'm just gonna say that this is pretty spooky that you brought up Emperor's New Groove because Eartha Kitt does a voice on that
Oh
episode
my
of Magic School
gosh.
Bus.
Making
Because yep,
connections.
for those who haven't seen it or don't remember, it's an episode where all of like the parents are meeting at like a weird old castle thing for some kind of event, and all the kids become
Yes.
convinced that their parents are going to turn into vampires.
I do vaguely
And
remember that.
Eartha Kitt voices Keisha's grandmother.
Oh my gosh. What a national treasure. If you are not familiar with the fact that Eartha Kitt, who most people I feel like know from her rendition of Santa Baby from Christmas time,
Sexy.
is the voice of Yzma in Emperor's New Groove and has just the most unmistakable
Yep.
voice I have ever heard. Oh, she's such a just a precious, perfect little person.
She's a delight, and I very clearly remember like the animated representation of echolocation
Oh
from that
yeah,
episode where they would show like
like
the
the
like things like
lines.
ripples. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Now that the more you're talking about that, it's all coming back. But I that's not one of the ones that I vividly remember. I remember the digestive system one probably the
Oh
most.
yeah,
It
that
was
one. I
just the
definitely remember
worst.
that one.
But yeah,
I remember that one, and also the one where there's a crocodile in the bathtub.
oh
And
my
they're all
gosh,
tiny, and they have to
yeah.
build a bridge. This is not related to bats. This is now a Magic School Bus fan cast. So
This is why you listen to a podcast, though, right? To shoot the shit with
yeah,
your ghoul pals.
cool friends.
Well, that's delightful. I forgot all about that episode.
Yeah, it was very good. Do you have any real life experiences with bats?
Not a ton. I mean, my family, my parents live in a really nice like it's pretty wooded,
Yeah.
and so I remember like seeing bats and stuff as a kid, like them flying in our yard and stuff. But I've never really had any kind of up close experiences with them, which is a bummer. I would like to. I'd like if you're a bat and you'd like to meet me.
Please reach out on Instagram.
There's a submission form in the comments below.
Yeah, I have never had an unexpected real like bat encounter in the wild, but there is a really great bat area at the Milwaukee Zoo.
Oh, cool.
So they have the rodents, like small rodents house,
Sure.
and like in the outside they have the daytime section that has like otters and lemurs and tamarins and stuff, and then they have a nighttime section where they have all nocturnal small mammals.
That's amazing.
And they have just like a whole like enclosure that is just all bats flying around, and then they have a little one that's all vampire bats, and they all just like hang upside down on the ceiling,
So
and then they fly down and like sip on their little like blood vials.
Having seen bats, like are vampire bats, are they small?
These ones were. I'm not sure if
Okay.
they're all small, but these ones were like I have no sense of measurements, like 3 to 4 inches. Is that
Okay.
what size
Yeah.
this is?
I guess I picture because like vampire, like I picture
Yeah.
them being really grand and like woo
Yeah.
bad, but I'm sure they're not.
No, they're just little guys, and they actually, so because I was a big zoo kid when I was growing up, my parents put me in zoo classes every summer, so we would just basically do, like, a day camp at the zoo on different topics, so I got all sorts of animal facts, and
Huh.
one of the things was when they were talking about, vampire bats is just, like, they really like, they don't hurt anything, like,
Yeah.
they're like, a cow will have, like, a small cut, and they come and, like, lap at it
So
and
is it,
then
I
kind of
wonder, is it like
flutter off.
actually nourishing to them? Like, is that their food
Yep.
source?
Yep,
Okay.
they just eat blood.
Hmm. I have an interesting tidbit that relates to the vampire bat and like the Bram Stoker
Mhm.
situation. I read a book recently that is called Dracul,
Mhm.
and it's written by the great grand nephew of Bram Stoker,
Oh.
and it includes a several bits of his original manuscript, or that's of Dracula
Okay.
that were not published because when Bram Stoker brought this to his publisher,
Mhm.
he said, and I quote, like, this really happened, and this is a manual on how to not get got
That's by
by
vampires.
vampires, and the bats that they transform into will like sneak into your life and you won't know. Um, and the publisher at the time was like, "Hey, bud, we
Nah.
just got out of Jack the Ripper. Literally, they were like,
Yeah.
people are still freaked out about Jack the Ripper and all these things. We cannot cause a frenzy with this, so we can't publish it like this." And so he took out the parts that were true, and they publish it like that. So now there's this book where they've published that, as well as some of the basically they've written kind of like a prequel to
Yeah.
it, and it's very interesting. Because I mean, I don't know, like people believed like such crazy stuff,
Yeah.
but then there's part of me that's like, why would somebody make that up if they didn't, like, what if
I
someone
mean,
really saw someone turn into a bat
I would believe that he met a weird European guy
in a castle?
in
Yeah,
a castle.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not and maybe like there were a lot of bats, and he was like, "Oh shit, these bats are
The,
watching me."
and like these bats are yeah, like a harbinger of this
Mhm.
guy and his presence. But yeah, good old Brom was fully vested
Fully
in,
vested. I did not know
he
that.
said, vampires for sure.
100% real.
100% real.
100% real.
uh but yeah, that's my fun bat fact of the day that's not even bat related.
I mean, it's kind of bat related. Well, that's kind of the thing is like I am always torn because like I get the need to destigmatize bats because a lot of people are really scared of them and kind of have this like spooky connection and like
Yeah.
real bats are chill and helpful. But I also love spooky bats. So
Yeah.
like I love the symbolism of them as a spooky
How have we
thing.
not talked about the vine? We have to talk about the
Oh,
vine.
yes.
Because that, I mean, I don't even know what there is to say, but uh the It's Frickin' Bats girl
Yes.
is probably, I think that probably initiated a lot of people having a lot more like bat stuff like in our generation, because I think that I don't know, I feel like I'm seeing so much more bat things the last like 5-6 years.
This is true. I do like I think people are more into bats. I also follow like some bat rescue
Hmm.
accounts and I don't know if you're familiar with Wet Jeff, but
I don't think I want to be familiar with what,
you
Jeff.
do, he's the best.
Is that like old Greg?
uh it was like in the height of like rough times last summer and
Hmm.
this bat researcher rescued this bat who she found who was all wet and she named him
Oh.
Jeff and she posted just like so many like
So Wet Jeff is a bat.
Wet Jeff is a
I
bat.
thought Wet Jeff was a
No,
person. I
Wet
said
Jeff
I
is
don't
the
want
bat.
anything to do
And
with
there's
Wet
just
Jeff.
a picture of him just like yelling because he was just like, I'm wet. And he was so sweet and I loved him. And she like, nursed him back to health with
Oh,
mealworms and things and then set him back out. But sometimes when I'm sad, I just go back and I look at Wet Jeff and I relate. Sometimes I feel like I just want to lie there and yell. So
we are all Wet Jeff. I had not ever seen that. I'm learning so much today. I'm learning about wet Jeff. I'm learning about tequila. They're really the life skills you need to get
Yeah.
through your through your day.
Things you need for everyday life. I think those were all of my bat facts. But I think that like a silhouette of a bat is just always going to be like one of my favorite
Yeah.
symbols of
Well, it's
Gothic
interesting
and Halloween.
because this bat silhouette, like if you look at a bat, they don't really quite look like that.
Yeah.
And so I'm fascinated by kind of uh the progression of how we got to this very quintessential bat image. I think a lot. Do you think it has to do with Batman? How do you feel about Batman?
I'm okay. I'm chill with Batman, but I do also like I do feel a lot of times like sometimes I see stuff and I'm like, this is a Batman bat. This is not like a
This
bat.
is not a Halloween
This is
bat.
not a Halloween bat, and I'm like, I don't want
I'm
anything
not
that has a
interested in you,
Batman.
Bruce. Get out of
Like
get out
you
of my Halloween, Bruce.
exactly. Like you can do your thing, but I don't need you around
I
here.
feel like Batman kind of I don't want him to be associated with bats. I'm mad about that whole situation. What about your superpower has anything to do with bats? Do you
Doesn't
use echolocation? No?
no.
Are you well, I was gonna say are you surviving off blood, but a little bit. Are you eating fruit?
Well,
No.
that's the weird thing where okay, call me out, fake nerd girl. I don't know a lot about like comics Batman, but at least in like a lot of like movie versions, it's like, oh, he's a bat because bats are scary and
Yeah.
he wants to be scary. And I'm like, bats aren't scary, my dude. Like you're
I haven't met a single rich bat either.
no.
I haven't met any millionaire bats that use their powers to fight crime.
No, bats are all very humble creatures living
Like what, Jeff?
in his little single family bat home.
That's gonna be the pull away from this episode, a single family bat home.
Oh, that is another thing for people who want to know what they can do to help bats. Obviously, there are bat conservation organizations and stuff, but you can also build a bat house. Yes,
Yeah.
which is super fun. Bats need places that are safe that they can sleep during the day. So if you live somewhere that you have room, you can definitely make a bat house. There are instructions and stuff online, or I know I've seen different places having like workshops where they build bat houses.
That's cool.
But it's nice to provide
Yeah,
them a
wow,
little safe
nocturnal.
spot. Yep.
Nocturnal.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. I like I can't imagine like what it would be like to just not be awake during the day. That's all. That's where my brain went. I'm like, wow, yeah, they are. They do sleep during the day.
Wild.
Wow. Nature.
It would be very wild. That is one of my travel goals is I would love to go to Austin to see the bats fly.
Oh,
At
like
the
the
bridge.
bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ghoulmates actually. If y'all aren't familiar with Mandy and Rudy from the Ghoulmates, they used to be a podcast, and they've actually recently shut down their podcast and are all on YouTube now. But they have a whole vlog of going to see the bats. So it's this bridge where these bats every year tend to nest and have their babies and let their babies kind of stay there until they're ready to
take to the skies.
And yeah, they got footage of that. It's very, very cool. I'll link their video below so you can check that out. Also, they're adorable, so you should subscribe to them. But yeah, I forgot about that. That's a really cool thing that I feel like that would be so majestic to behold, just a bajillion bats flying out. And little baby bats. Little
yeah.
Teensy bats.
Just a zillion bats, just like
That was a good bat sound effect.
Thank you. We'll see if the mic picked that up.
Yeah. We don't need sound editing. Penny's gonna be doing all of our sound effects here in studio.
DIY sound effects.
Wow. Thank you for sharing your bat facts with me. I am realizing I didn't know a whole lot about them, so I'm glad. As much as I love them, I didn't know a lot. So I feel educated, and I hope you all do too.
There you go. The more you know about bats.
Get that star across here. but like it's a bat with a little rainbow
Yes.
shooting out of its bat butt.
Oh, I would love that.
I will be spending way too many hours making that graphic now. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us and listening about all of our batty fun times. As we said before, if you like the podcast, you can follow us on Instagram at Ghouls Night In Pod. Please do rate and subscribe on your podcatcher of choice. And if you are looking for me, you can find me at Penny Snark.
You can find me across all platforms at Midge Munster.
And thank you so much and have a spooky day.
Bye.